Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. Today we have Daniela from Sana Commerce joining us, and Daniela will be presenting on 5 reasons you need e-commerce built for Microsoft Dynamics. And before I pass it over to Daniela, I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review and share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those into the questions box. We will get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. And so now I'm going to pass it on over to Daniela to kick off our presentation.
Thank you, Angie, and thanks for everyone who's joining us today on this webinar. Today I'm going to talk about 5 reasons you need your e-commerce built for Microsoft Dynamics, and I'm going to take you through a customer's journey who experienced going from one e-commerce to Sana and what their journey was like getting to Sana. So to kick this off today, I have a small agenda for us to go over. I will discuss with you that customer I mentioned, which is our customer Moto Direct. I will also go into how to lower your total cost of ownership using a solution like Sana. We'll get into the architecture and the R&D behind the solution. We'll talk about the time to market for a solution like Sana, as well as the ability to scale and the ease of upgrade with a solution like Sana. We'll jump into solution overview so everyone can get a look and feel of the solution, and then we'll jump into any questions that may come up. So with Sana, some of the things that we have, as e-commerce consultants come across often is the different frustrations that companies come across when they are experiencing their journey to e-commerce, right? A lot of the frustrations that are impacting e-commerce projects fall in these buckets, right? Moto Direct, which is the customer that we'll be showcasing today, experienced most of these frustrations when they were choosing their first e-commerce solution. And one of the things we do see is that unexpected costs that come into play when a customer is choosing a solution. One of the top 5 problems is that they anticipate and put together, their budget, and then that budget typically exceeds what the cost of the implementation because of the due diligence going into identifying the key problems and pain points of the solution for the customer. So unexpected costs is something we see often. Oftentimes as well, we see disconnected legacy solutions, right? So customers using 4 or 5 different types of solutions, whether it's a third-party provider, whether it's a CMS solution trying to communicate with a ERP, or it's an e-commerce solution trying to communicate to a shipping provider, whatever the case may be, there's oftentimes a lot of disconnected systems trying to communicate with each other, and that is one of the frustrations that customers often, we find when they're choosing to move forward with their e-commerce journey. Oftentimes, a slow time to market, right? Oftentimes, companies, are looking to deploy an e-commerce solution within a few weeks, if not just a couple months. But when a solution gets implemented and it takes more than half a year, that's when the total cost of ownership starts to increase. And that's where we see customers really become frustrated that they're not able to deploy a successful e-commerce solution. The next frustration we see often is that it's, whether they're on a current e-commerce solution or looking to move off of an e-commerce solution, the reasons why they want to move or the reasons why they're looking to choose a different solution is because the flexibility to scale is not there oftentimes with the e-commerce solutions. And what does that mean? That means oftentimes with the ERP that the customer is working with doesn't communicate in real time with their e-commerce solution, which creates a lot of disconnect there. Therefore, limited flexibility when scaling a solution. One other frustration we do see is the inefficiency of manual upgrades, right? Oftentimes, one of the frustrations we hear is that, or one of the questions we get is, how hard is it to upgrade will it be to upgrade our e-commerce solution? There's been nightmare stories where an upgrade's taken, 3-4 months to get an upgrade going. And typically that should not be the scenario for choosing a solution. An upgrade should be standard and it should be out of the box, and typically from a 48 to 72 hour standpoint, you should be able to upgrade your solution. So these are all the frustrations. I'm sure some people can identify to some of the frustrations that I've identified. But I do want to point out that MotoDirect identified most of these frustrations when they were deciding to choose a solution. Funny enough, they didn't choose Sana as a phase one. They actually ended up going with Magento, which is one of Sana's competitors. But through that journey, they realized that all these frustrations didn't relieve themselves. So I will take you guys into a quick video to show you guys what their journey was like after they chose a solution like Sana. So I'm going to jump into this video, and just to give you guys a heads up, this video is also found on our website at sana-commerce.com. And I will play this video, and then we will continue with our presentation.
In a B2B retail market that caters to customers who like to move quickly, it comes as no surprise when a customer chooses the faster and better performing web store to conduct their online ordering. To beat competitors who were doing that, MotoDirect decided to upgrade their ERP system to Dynamics NAV and hire Magento to improve their e-commerce experience. At least that was the plan. 8 months into the project, the promise of an ERP integrated web store was becoming more of a pipe dream than a reality. The project quickly fell behind schedule and over budget. Data replication was a huge challenge. This also significantly delayed the launch of their new ERP system. As a result, MotoDirect decided to look elsewhere for an e-commerce partner. So, they looked to Sana to help move their e-commerce project forward more efficiently. Despite abandoning their Magento project mid-implementation, MotoDirect lost no time in getting their web store live. And they didn't just stay within the original deadline. Their web store was implemented 4 times more quickly than Magento predicted was doable. And the new web store experience certainly didn't go unnoticed. Aside from having over 60% of their customers raving about how much they love the new web store experience, MotoDirect also saw a 70% increase in orders outside their home market. And they expect to see a 27% lower total cost of ownership within 3 years compared to Magento. To learn more about MotoDirect's experience, visit meetsana.com/MD.
So as you can see, a lot of the frustrations that led MotoDirect to make the jump to Sana are the ones we've identified with not only MotoDirect, but with a lot of the different customers we've worked with, right? So one of the things that was discussed in the video is the low total cost of ownership, right? And so one of the things we like to discuss, with our prospects and partners is, we want to make sure that a customer is choosing a solution like Sana with the goal in mind of reducing that total cost of ownership, right? And so as you saw in the video, the project quickly fell behind schedule and over budget, and it received poor feedback from internal stakeholders. So this in turn delayed the launch of their new ERP system at the time, which they were implementing now. So a couple things I want to identify here is the cost of a B2B solution when having to customize it, right? As Magento isn't a pure B2B platform, there were missing features that delayed and made the project way more expensive than it should have cost, right? So again, that's partly hand in hand with the due diligence that went into choosing the solution that first time around, but also the development that was needed, which added time, cost, and complexity to the project, right? And so that's one thing that from an e-commerce standpoint, we want to make sure that customers are able to identify before they're making those decisions to switch their e-commerce solution. And so from a total cost of ownership standpoint, Sana wants to be able to reduce that TCO for customers. And with this fully integrated pure B2B solution, they're able to do that because we're not changing any table structures in the ERP or in real time trying to pull that information to the web. And so we're not having to customize any of the B2B functionality, right? So part of the story with MotoDirect, right, is that they got not only when they chose to come to Sana, we were able to get them back on their original timeline and ahead of schedule, right? And in addition to that, it cost them 50% less than what their implementation with Magento had cost them up to that point. So again, a unique experience for the client, and that is really what we're trying to bring to the table from an e-commerce solution. We want to reduce the cost, we want to increase the efficiency, and again, lower that total cost of ownership for the customer. But all of that isn't possible without understanding the architecture and the R&D that's been poured into the solution over the past few years. Typically outside of Sana, this is the traditional setup, right? This is something we discussed earlier, where you have the ERP solution, you have some type of middleware or legacy system that's trying to connect and communicate to the shopping cart. That shopping cart is there in addition trying to communicate with a third-party provider, whether it's a sales tax provider, a payment processor, or a shipping processor. And oftentimes there's a CMS solution that's in addition to all of those different software platforms that they have. All of that is trying to communicate to the web store, but oftentimes what we see is that things fall through the cracks. And that is where, whether it's missing orders or orders not being updated in real time, you know, a lot of those frustrations is what increases the cost of you know, having to maintain a solution that's not integrated, as well as, you know, just leading to a bad customer experience. But with Sana, where we really differentiate ourselves is that we have a solution that is all in one, in the sense that a company is able to manage not only the data and the logic in the ERP from the web store, but they're also able to manage the look and feel and the content management elements of the web store all in one place, which is our Sana admin panel, which I'll take you to in a little bit so you guys can see what that you know, what that self-service functionality is capable of doing for a customer. So I think you know, overall the philosophy behind Sana is that we want to work as one, and we're able to provide that information to the customer in real time because of our single stack approach and integration. In addition to all of that, Sana also you know, wants to be able to give customers the ability to be able to manage orders out on the field as well, right? So Sana leverages the mobile responsive behavior that allows customers to stay connected, whether it's from a tablet, a phone, whatever it may be. We want to make sure that it's not only a web store computer type of transaction. We want to give the ability for sales reps. Oftentimes manufacturers and distributors have sales reps out on the field that they want to be able to impersonate a customer and place orders on their behalf. That is standard out of the box functionality for Sana that we do provide. From a detailed architecture standpoint, you know, Sana's core solution is hosted on Microsoft Azure. But in addition to that, some of the things that become complexities in a project is when customers start discussing the different types of add-ons. And so Sana leverages those different add-ons and has already built these different add-ons as out-of-the-box solutions for Sana. So everything from PayPal, CyberSource, FedEx, UPS, and even third-party marketplaces like Amazon or eBay. Those integrations are out of the box for Sana. And so we're able to provide those REST APIs for customers to be able to deploy to the web quicker. And again, all managed from one spot. One thing to also talk about is the R&D and investment behind the solution. Sana has been dedicated over the last few years to really pour into our solution. And with over 100 full-time employees, we're dedicated to not only scale the solution, but also extend the flexibility behind our design and our CMS into a visual designer by 2020. And so again, our goal is very much committed to the customer experience. And we want to make sure that the customer is, choosing the solution that is going to ease their life and is the easiest to use. Again, with understanding the customer's needs in mind, first and foremost. So by 2021, Sana aims to be one of the top 5 B2B e-commerce players amongst major analysts. This includes Gartner, this includes Forrester. So to achieve this, we've set product development goals based on these 6 different pillars. And so, we are very data-driven internally. And so we want to be able to identify decisions based on the data. And so we can, make better calculated decisions. Again, from a design standpoint, we're evolving the solution. From a conversion optimization standpoint, we're also evolving and making sure that we're one of the thought leaders in this area. and looking to continue optimizing the solution for customers to be able to not only draw traffic to the website, but be able to convert those customers quicker and be able to identify their buying behavior on the website. The goal here is that we have the customer's, ease of use in mind, and we want the customer and client satisfaction to be up there, right? We want to be able to make sure that we have a customer retention rate that's over the 95% percentile, and to us that's really important. And so for us to get to that goal, we need to keep pouring into the solution and pouring into the R&D and development of the solution. One thing to point out that was identified in the video with MotoDirect is the time to market. Again, a customer does not have the leisure to deploy a solution in 6 to 8 months. Typically, that feeds into the overruns of budgets and expensive customizations. With Sana, you're seeing on average a 60 to 90-day implementation for a pure B2B solution, right? Again, we're not changing table structures in the ERP. We are pulling the information that's already in there and displaying that on the web store. So that is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons that MotoDirect ended up choosing Sana over Magento, because of our implementation time. From the ERP touches needed, I think one of the things that really, again, differentiates our solution from others is, once again, our integration and how our single stack approach really works with the ERP. And so when we are integrating with NAV or AX, F&O, Business Central, we're pulling primary ERP tables, right? We're talking about the product information, the price, the inventory, customer information, order information. All of this is being pulled in real time to the web store. Obviously, there's things that do not need to be displayed on the web store, and any of those fields that don't need to be displayed that the customer doesn't want to display, we're caching that information. And so, in other words, we're only displaying what the customer wants the B2B user to see and what that experience they want it to look like. But again, we integrate to the product master in the ERP, and that's what information we're pulling to display over to the web store. Again, this information will be provided to you guys after the webinar, so you guys can see the table structures that we do integrate with out of the box. So from a project flow standpoint, part of the reasons we have success in implementing the customers we do is because of how we've laid out our project flow and project plan. And again, one of the things that really makes our implementations a success with our customers and keeping them happy is that we have kind of blended the perfect sauce, if you will, for how we manage a project with a customer. So not only is the project and implementation going to be a 60 to 90-day implementation, but during that implementation, they're going to get an entire team dedicated to them that's going to help them with the success of the deployment of the website. So with this being said, they're going to get a project manager, an e-commerce consultant, an installation specialist that's going to take them all the way to go live. And that go live is going to be part of our 60 to 90-day roadmap. And so our project flow is future proof for us to be able to have successful implementations with our customers. And another frustration that was mentioned earlier was the ability to scale. And I think that is also one of the focuses for Sana, is that we want to be able to make sure that and we ensure the scalability and the reliability behind the software. And so we want to be able to handle those enterprise level transaction volumes, right? So we're not only catering to the SMB space, but to the enterprise space as well. So, our focus is to be able to scale with the customer as they're growing, right? So everything from high order volume, reliability, all the way to making sure that we're load balancing all the information and making sure that we're staying on top of that. So when a customer does choose Sana, their customer success manager with Sana makes sure that they are staying top performance with their website at all times to ensure that reliability in the software. So one of the things to point out is that oftentimes customers have multiple sites, multiple brands under one umbrella, right? And all of that is being showcased either on a B2B scale or B2C scale, or multiple types of web stores. And one of the things that Sana offers out of the box is not only the ability to have a B2B solution or multiple B2B solutions in one, but they're also able to have a business to consumer web store and even customer portal out of the box. We have these different selling agents, and these are all standard best practices out of the box, part of the functionality in Sana. So from an upgrade standpoint, this is the one area where customers really get frustrated because they're not able to upgrade their solution on an easy scale, right? So with our SaaS solution, they're able to not only get the latest version, but they're also not getting charged in a crazy amount because of the upgrade, right? Our upgrades are at a fixed cost, and they take anywhere from 24 to 72 hours, right? And I think one of the things to point out is that oftentimes customizations are needed to rebuild those upgrades when they are upgrading with a different e-commerce solution, because now you have to repoint different APIs to different table structures in the ERP, and that really creates, I think, some complexity when upgrading, which is not a need for Sana when a customer is choosing us. So part of this webinar is going to take us into doing a quick solution overview for you guys to just get a look and feel of what the solution is all about in Sana. Again, we cater to that B2B, B2C market, as well as having the ability for customers to have sales reps out on the field. And all of this functionality standard, right? So again, what you're seeing here is that B2C scenario, right? Oftentimes we're those B2C shoppers. Again, you're able to see that I can go in and I can see my product catalog, depending on the different buying behavior. B2B buyers and B2C buyers shop differently, right? Here, I'll be able to see retail pricing. I'll be able to see my product information, my product details. I can jump into a product, and I'll be able to see all the information displayed that I want to, as a manufacturer distributor. I can, be the one to specify what information I want to be shown on the web store, right? Here you'll be able to see I have multiple images, I have my retail pricing, I have my product information, product description. All of this information is taken in real time from the ERP and displayed in the web store. So this experience changes though, right, when I log in. So now I'm logging in, but now I am the B2B user logging in. And so as a B2B user, Dave here is logging in. They're gonna go into their personal experience. And this is really where some of the B2B functionality that's out of the box is displayed, right? So now you logged in, or I logged in, and now you're able to see my custom pricing. I'm able to see different discounts. If I want to display inventory in stock, I'm able to do that. And again, all this is being pulled in real time from the ERP. So again, the customer experience is where the focus is here. And as far as the information I want displayed, I can turn that off and on based on the buyer that's logging in. So if I put something to my shopping cart, it's going to take me through that checkout experience, right? Pretty standard experience as you're checking out, right? Your shipping provider that's linked to your account in the ERP is going to be displayed here and attached to your customer record. So as I go here and I go to my checkout, acting a bit slow, but as you're going to your checkout, it's going to transact. And once it gets to that transaction and to the checkout, I'll be able to see my sales order number, and that sales order number is now being reflected back in the ERP. So Sana is not creating the sales order number. It is just taking it from the ERP and it's displaying it on the web in real time. So let's see. Let me go to my shopping cart. All right, well, it is not cooperating today, but so typically this would take me to my shopping cart. And when I'm in my shopping cart, I'm able to now see that order, that sales order that took place, right? And one of the things I want to point out is that after all that has happened, and now it's, I've checked out, now that sales order is back in the ERP, my people, analyst, whoever's working in the ERP is now going to be able to, transact and get that sales order through. But one of the things about this B2B scenario is that now as a customer who logged in, the self-service tools I have available to me is quite extensive, right? So now I have the ability to go back and see that sales order that, to see the sales order that I just went through. I'm able to see the orders I placed. I'm able to see open quotes. I'm able to see returns. I'm able to initiate a return. I'm able to see different credit notes, if I have credit limits, if I have, outstanding balances. I'm able to see where my shipments are and see my sales agreements that I have with my vendor, as well as have different order templates here. One of the things about the order templates that I find pretty, that pretty interesting in the sense that it reduces the time a customer takes on the web store, is that they work similarly to a saved shopping cart. And so a saved shopping cart here is really going to reduce the time of a customer going onto the web store and putting stuff to their shopping cart, right? Every time a customer wants to go onto the web store and add products to the shopping cart and then check out, that's probably a 20 to 30 minute type of transaction if they do it every week, right? So we're trying to reduce the time a customer is spending on these oftentimes traditional types of buying behaviors. And so these order templates, they come in here and they'll be able to see what they ordered last week in that shopping cart. So now they can just reorder and have the ability to reorder that same shopping cart that they purchased last week, and not have to go through and add all the products again through the product catalog. As I log out here though, right, I'll log out and then I'll log back in. But here, when I log in, I'm now logging in as that sales agent, right? So this sales agent is now going to be the person that's impersonating the customer on their behalf, right? So here I am, I'm a sales rep working for a customer, and I'm out on the field, right? And I have probably 20 accounts I'm managing. I'm driving around and I'm wanting to place orders on behalf of these customers, right? And so again, the customer now has the ability to impersonate the customer. And so what that means is that they're now logged in as Steve, they're now logged in as Dave, they're now logged in as whoever, and now they have the same access to that account dashboard and their ability to place those orders on behalf of the customer. Again, functionality that's just standard out of the box for Sana. One of the things I'll point out though, as we're doing all of that, is that all of that information, all of the information you've seen up to this point is all managed here back in the Sana admin panel. And here you're going to be able to manage the design, the navigation, the enriching of the different products, and all the add-ons that the customer is working with, right? So again, from an add-on standpoint, these are all installs that are out of the box for Sana. So no custom integration needs to happen here. You'll see a handful of different third-party providers that we work with, whether it's a shipping company, a credit card processor, a PIM solution. All of this is just standard out of the box for Sana. From a design standpoint, we offer a handful of different design packs that a customer can pick from that are just template-driven design packs, and we'll just take their corporate visual identity, color, theming, and all of that and apply it to one of our templates, again, reducing the cost of having to get a digital agency to create the design for them. From a web page standpoint, they have the ability to manage all their product pages, to manage all their product list pages, and be able to manage their entire content management right from the Sana admin panel, right? So everything from templates back here about us, history about us, everything that's displayed on the web store is all being able to be managed back here. And one of the things we find with a lot of B2B buyers is that certain customers only want certain customers from a B2B standpoint to see only certain items based on what they're purchasing, right? If a customer has 4,000 SKUs, they're not trying to display all 4,000 SKUs to every single B2B user, right? Typically, in traditional B2B scenarios, you're only showing a handful of different products to certain customers. So you can segment those customers based on what they purchase. You can also segment the products purchased by the customers. So again, a lot of self-service functionality that's available to the consumer. And I think part of the flexibility in the solution is really where the key differentiator between us and a solution like Magento. We are a pure B2B house integrated solution that is allowing the customer to really take their web store and make it what they want, and not have to depend on a solution or a technical consultant or a developer to make all these changes to the web store. As long as you have someone who's knowledgeable with e-commerce in general, the design and the setup of the web store in Sana, and even the managing of the entire web store is all being managed in one spot. And the consumer has the ability to have that self-service functionality at the tip of their fingers. So again, trying to reduce the overall cost of ownership for the customer. So as I jump back to my slides, I do want to point out that again, we want to be able to give customers that flexibility in the solution. With Moto Direct, really, as we wrap up here, if we take a quick look back, what we saw is that they launched their ERP solution, which was NAV, which is NAV, currently, which when they chose Magento at the time, they didn't realize what the total cost was going to be for them. They didn't realize that the maintenance behind it was going to be quite extensive, and so they really made a leap, right? I mean, they were halfway through an implementation with their other solution, and they were 3 times over budget, 4 times over budget, before they made the jump. But after doing their due diligence, they realized that by going with the fully integrated solution, they were going to get not only a reduced cost of an implementation, but they were going to get a lower maintenance cost as well. And so that is some of the key takeaways I want you guys to keep in mind as you guys are evaluating different e-commerce solutions, right? Is that most primary business processes and business data is already available in your guys' ERP. So we're just going to leverage that information that's already there, and we're not trying to customize your guys' ERP environment. We're just trying to communicate that through the web store in real time. And so that is really where your total cost of ownership is going to be reduced. So again, I want to thank you guys today for joining me on this webinar. And I will pass it back to Angie if there's any questions. And if there is any additional questions, please feel free to contact me or go to our website. A lot of information is out there for you guys on our web store. And even if you guys just want a consultation on best practices for your current solution, we're happy to just communicate that with you guys, especially during these difficult times right now. We understand that there's no greater need than now to get your guys' e-commerce up and moving. So we definitely want to make ourselves available to you guys with any questions. So Angie, I'll pass it back to you. I'm not sure if there's any questions, but I'm happy to field anything that comes our way.
Yes, thank you, Daniela. We do have a couple that came through. First one is, how quickly does an out-of-the-box Sana solution take to get live?
So as I mentioned earlier in our webinar, on average, our implementation timeframe is 60 to 90 days. However, right now, because of everything happening in the world, we're committing certain resources to a rapid deployment that we're committing to for a pure B2B solution, 2 to 4 weeks to deploy right now. And this isn't something that we're doing often, but we have focused a dedicated team to be able to help customers right now that are coming to us looking to move to the web. So right now we do have something in play for at least the next couple months while everything's ironing itself out around the world to deploy a solution between 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay, thank you. And then the next one is, we are in the process of switching our ERP system from NAV to BC. When would you suggest we add an e-commerce solution in the implementation project?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, it's hard to say because it just depends on the internal resources available to the customer, right? A dedicated point person for the customer would be needed in order to, deploy Sana successfully. It doesn't matter at what stage in the game it is, because at the end of the day, like, we're either going to repoint and communicate to NAV or Business Central. To us, it doesn't matter. The table structures don't really change. So from that standpoint, it can be before the upgrade happens, it can be in the middle of the upgrade, or it can be at the end of the upgrade when they're on Business Central. So it doesn't really matter from, I guess, a timeline standpoint for us. I mean, it still doesn't change that. But from a resource standpoint, that's one thing I want a customer to keep in mind, is that I want them to make sure that they do have the resources available internally for someone to manage the project with our team to get them to launch within the timeline that we've suggested to them. So I hope that answers that question.
Yes, thank you. I believe that's all the questions that we have for you today, Daniela. But like she said, if you have any additional questions that you want to talk to Sana about, Daniela's information is there on the screen, or you can contact your rep at Innovia Consulting, and we would be happy to discuss those questions with you further.
Perfect. Right. Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you, Daniela, for presenting, and to everyone on today's webinar, or if you are watching on demand, we thank you for joining us. And we do have more webinars coming soon. Next Tuesday, we have Lynn Haid from Innovia Consulting presenting on the secret to simpler vendor payments in Business Central. And we have more of our webinars on our website, and that's at innovia.com/events. So check those out to see which webinar you're going to be on next. And Innovia has a podcast going on. If you haven't heard of it already, it's called the Innovia Conversation. We just want to encourage you to listen to our selection that Steve Waltz and Jeff Progolski have provided to us over the past year. They do about 2 episodes a month, and you can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out that selection and subscribe so you'll be notified when those new episodes air. All right, everyone. Well, thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day, everyone.